Young Living is a group of individuals coming together for something bigger. I say it often, but one of my favorite parts of going to work is the community we have. And I want everyone to feel comfortable as a part of that. I want everyone to come in on the same footing. So today, we are going to break down some of the must-knows before getting started with Young Living. You can use today as a one-stop shop to learn and refer back to for you or any of your friends thinking of getting started. Hello and welcome to the Young Living podcast, The Wild Drop. My name is Jacob Young, your host. Young Living is a world leader in producing and distributing premium essential oils, and this podcast will provide you with the drops of information about Young Living, including stories, history, product information, lots of little fun facts, and even more. Kevin McMurray is our Chief Legal Officer, and Casey Barrow is the Senior Director of Conduct Success, and they are in our podcast studio for the first time. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. Doing great. Thanks.
Why don't you two kind of start off with both of your backgrounds and what exactly you do for Young Living, and we'll go from there.
So I'm Casey, and I've been here for 7 years now. I've overseen conduct since the day I started, and I truly just love the members here, and I love what we do because it protects the legacy of Gary. It protects their business that they've worked so hard to build, and honestly, it's part of my passion is coming here every day and getting to educate and work with our members because I know what this means to so many people out there, not just from a product standpoint, but also from an opportunity standpoint. It's amazing to see people's experiences.
Thank you for sharing.
And I'm Kevin McMurray. I'm the Chief Legal Officer. Actually, I like to think of myself as Casey's sidekick. Anyway, I'm the Chief Legal Officer here at Young Living. I've been here now for going on a year and a half. It's been a great experience so far. I love our brand partners. I love the field, and I've been in the industry now for, I just calculated this the other day, but basically 27 years.
Wow.
So I've been with numerous companies in the past, and likewise in position of lawyer and compliance officer, that sort of thing. So, but it's a great industry. There's no other sales channel like it, right? And I think it's very vibrant. I think the people that get into this direct selling are just exceptional individuals, and they're great entrepreneurs and just exciting business people. And I've just really loved the challenges and opportunities that go along with the industry. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, fantastic. Thank you both for sharing. So the first thing that happens when you decide to become a brand partner is obviously to go over all the policies and procedures. That's actually one of the first things about policies and procedures is as a brand partner, that is your job to read all the policies and procedures. I think a lot of people probably wonder who maybe are brand partners or wanting to become brand partners or have looked at brand partners is why are policies and procedures in place, not only from a Young Living perspective, but as an industry perspective as well?
So I would probably say the best way to explain it is when you look at all the laws out there, the regulations, the rules, how do you make sense of those, right? If you had to go on your own for your own business and go out and review every law that's out there, every rule that's out there that pertains to your business, you're going to be overwhelmed and you're probably not going to continue on. The policies and procedures takes all that information and makes it digestible for the brand partner to understand how can I operate my business, how can I build sustainably, and how can I continue to grow in a way that's not only going to help Young Living, but help my customers and keep me safe.
Fantastic.
This is why we're so lucky, because I have to tell you, Casey Barrow is probably one of the best, if not the best, compliance officers in the entire industry. And I've actually met with numerous attorneys who have told me the same thing. So that's just not my personal opinion. But Casey knows his stuff, and we're very lucky to have him.
Very lucky indeed. Definitely agree with that statement wholeheartedly. I know whenever there's something that I don't know or a lot of people don't know, I know Casey for sure would know. He's like, oh, yes, it's this section and this paragraph and this sentence and whatnot. So right. You really know this industry extremely well, and that makes you such a valuable asset and team member, not only for Young Living, but for our brand partners as well. So the next question I have is, what's the importance? Like, what are some of the most important features or aspects of our policies and procedures?
So for me, I think the most important aspects of it are the first thing is it guides you to understand where and how to operate, right? So when you're starting a business, you're out there promoting product and you need to understand how to promote it, right? Well, if you go back to the policies and procedures, it's going to give you that guidance, right? It's going to help you to understand, how do I do this safely? How can I ensure that I'm not going to end up losing my business because I overstepped on a law or regulation, right? It also is going to help you guide on how you promote that opportunity as well. It's very specific. It's very easy to go through. And when in doubt, you can always reach out to Conduct. I mean, that is my team's whole passion, is to ensure that when a member has a question, they're there to answer it. I mean, we respond to almost every email within 24 to 48 hours to answer questions, to ensure they're getting the guidance. And even when we see somebody that needs that assistance, is we reach out first. Like, we're not there to be mean to anybody, to harm anybody. We want them to understand. Our whole goal is to help them to take the digestible amount of the policies and procedures and apply it to their everyday lives.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is that many times we're basically seen or perceived as the messenger of bad news. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's just what happens. That's the nature of the business, I guess. But in reality, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to make sure that everyone has a good environment to build a business. And really what people need to understand too is that the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they're not actually very business friendly, especially these days. It's actually gotten very bad over the last few years. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that people have businesses in the future. We want to protect their business interests, and we want to make sure that everybody's doing things the right way. Because in the past, what has happened, you have several bad actors who have given the industry a bad name, and so now the FTC kind of looks at the industry with a great deal of disdain, contempt, and they think it's just bad business, and they're anti-direct selling. Yeah. And regardless of what you might hear, what people might say about the FTC, they're not our friends, and I will say that publicly. I do think that they serve a useful purpose. That's true, but they're definitely anti-MLM, anti-direct selling, and so that's why it becomes even more critical that our business partners understand what we're trying to do, and we're trying to help them.
I think with all the amazing opportunities that we provide for all of our brand partners, whether they just simply love the product or want to build a business, kind of like you were saying, a lot of people misinterpret or misunderstand, I think, just the whole legal side, the legal team of Young Living as well. We aren't always coming down with the ban hammer and stuff like that. We want you to continue to grow and to succeed, because the way that our business works is it's a giant community. It's a 50-50 partnership. It's a hand-in-hand type thing. Mm-hmm. And without you guys, we wouldn't be here, and vice versa. And so we want everybody to succeed, because your success is our success. And that's where we really strive. We feel absolutely just enamored and joyful, and a little bit overwhelmed sometimes too, right, with your success as well. And so we always want to see you succeed and grow. We never want to stop you from that, right? We never want to create roadblocks for you. And that's the whole reason for policies and procedures, is to kind of alleviate any roadblocks that you see, to make your path as easy as possible for you as well. And while it can be a little bit overwhelming, kind of like Casey was saying, is we're always happy to help you, to respond to you. No question is a dumb question type thing. We're here for you. We really are.
We're lawyers and compliance professionals. We all love to talk.
Yes.
So we're more than happy to talk with you. So.
And that's the thing, is when you really get down into it, like when you want to promote the product, right? The biggest thing with the product is it's all about supporting a healthy lifestyle, right? That is what Young Living's about. It's a wellness company. And it's funny, because I was talking with John Wetton the other day as he was going through a lot of the old files and recordings of your dad, is he found one that when he was closing the clinic in Mexico, where your dad actually said, I'm tired of trying to get sick people healthy. I want to start supporting healthy people and keeping them healthy so they don't get here. And it just kind of took me back, that I'm like, that is truly what the mission of Young Living is. And the more that people embrace that culture of wellness and sustainability through natural products, the better the whole entire world's going to become, right? Yeah. And that's really what the heart and soul of what my team really looks at too, is how we promote the product is all about just keeping that healthy body, supporting healthy systems. And there's so many great products we have. And that's the story we really want people to start selling, because that's what the world really needs right now.
Yes. So what are some of the biggest misconceptions with our policies and procedures?
So I think the first biggest misconception is that they're used as a way to take accounts away, as a way to hold accounts hostage, as a way for us to put the hammer down, so to speak. And that's not at all what they're there for. They're there to ensure that your business stays sustainable. And they're also there to protect Young Living. I mean, this is a company that your parents started years ago, and they're here to make sure that that goes on for generations and generations, your kids and their kids, right? And that's what these policies are there for, is to ensure that not only the company keeps going, but every one of these brand partners, individual businesses, continues to grow as well, and that they're sustainable, and that they can actually will those to their children too as well. And it's the nature that the policies are there for, is to ensure people understand that, and it's just a guidance. And honestly, when we reach out, it's a guidance. We're there to help. And the thing is, as long as you work with us, there's nothing that we can't overcome, in my opinion. It's when you don't reach out, when you don't respond, when you become, aversive towards working with us, that's where the issues come into play. I've always said that there's always a path to meet in the middle, and it's just getting there sometimes that you're going to go through some rocky conversations, but it's okay, because in the end, you're going to walk away as a more sustainable organization. Young Living's going to walk away with the knowledge that you are aligned, and we're not going to have any regulators reach out to us, and it's a mutual relationship that just continues to grow.
Yeah. I think that's perfectly well said. And, once again, like Casey said, we're always here to assist you and help you. And we're never wanting to obstruct you from the growth that you're seeing and the passion that you're wanting to share, right? Sometimes people end up forgetting some of the rules and policies and procedures, and we're simply there to be like, hey, just so you're aware and just so you can continue to do what you love to do, and making sure that everybody else in your organization is protected, as well as the company and yourself most importantly. Let's kind of just chat about what happened, and we'll take care of it, right?
And that's one of the most beautiful things about it, is it's not just you. You have to remember, you have a whole organization under you of builders that have also worked hard to build their organization, and so on and so forth, right? So if you are in violation of a major policy that could bring harm to not only their organization, your downline's organization, Young Living, we are going to reach out. And, if we do have to become a little more aggressive at times, unfortunately, that's the choice that you've made, because you haven't decided to align with what we're reaching out to work through. And those are hard conversations, but they're also ones that I'm not afraid to stand up and protect Young Living and my brand partners.
Yeah. Right. One thing people need to keep in mind too is that they're operating their own micro businesses, and in some cases, their micro businesses are even bigger than a lot of small businesses out there and some other bigger brands that we know about. Right?
Yeah.
You're talking about thousands of brand partners who are part of a sales team. And so it's their responsibility to treat it as a business, take it seriously, and make sure that they're providing an opportunity in the future for all of their team members.
Of course.
And we're in this for business, right? We're in this for profit. And I know people don't like to talk about that, but at the same time, we're in it for profit. And we do not want to lose any brand partner, because that's less profit.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, we don't want one bad apple to ruin the whole rest of the orchard type thing, right? So what are some of the most common mistakes / no-nos that you see when it comes to the policies and procedures?
So recently, what a big one we've seen, not just at Young Living, but industry-wide, is solicitation. And this policy, a lot of people misinterpret, because they read it and say, well, I can do two businesses. Yes, we want you to have whatever revenue streams you need, right? We're not here to control you. We're not here to say you can't do multiple things, but we are here to say, here's how you can do them within your contractual terms with Young Living. And where people overstep that is they solicit to their Young Living organization, or they solicit through social media on a page where they have used to promote Young Living, right? So you have these now followers because of Young Living that you're now soliciting other products to, or other business opportunities, another direct sales company, whatever it may be. And that's one of the biggest mistakes we see is, yes, you can do both, but you need to do them distinctly separate.
Yes.
And it's very much just to protect what not only you've built, but what your downline's built, what other people have built. And that's really what it comes down to.
Basically, the one thing people need to understand is not only is it a violation of their contractual obligations when they solicit, but it's also unethical, right? Because you're basically attacking someone's business that they've spent hours and hours and days, years and years building, right?
It's inorganic growth. It's essentially boosting yourself. Like with Young Living, you started from scratch, right? You started from the bottom. And when you're doing that, to build another company, you have to do the exact same thing, right?
Right.
Correct.
And unfortunately, a lot of people misunderstand that.
Right. Or they think I can just go remove all the Young Living posts, right? Well, it's like you still have all the following. And that's a big mistake too. It's like, look, we want you to be successful at Young Living. And that's really what my goal is to continue to say, how do you continually be successful at Young Living? If you're going to do other opportunities, you just have to go start a new social media page.
Yeah.
Start building organically.
Everything needs to be separate, right? I
Yes.
mean, if you're kind in this regard, I think it's important for people to look at it as kind of like compartmentalizing. You know, you've got a box for your Young Living stuff. If you want to go do brand X or brand Y, you got to have a separate box for each one of those and keep it separate.
Yeah, of course. And it also can be very misleading for people as well.
Correct.
Right.
And unfortunately, you know, that's kind of the other reason why policies and procedures are in play is we want to make sure that if someone is doing something that is not in compliance with our policies and procedures, that we make sure that that's taken care of and addressed so other people don't start kind of following that as well. Because unfortunately it turns into a domino effect where one person does it, then everybody else starts doing it type thing, right?
Right.
And we need to make sure that that doesn't happen because once again, this is a protection thing for you, your organization, your Young Living family, and Young Living as a whole as well too.
Right.
And that's the big thing is like, even if we do place a hold on the account, it's just to get attention to say, let's align and let's stop any potential fallout. And that's honestly, if there is a conduct hold placed on an account, I hear so many people say, they held my account. My account's been held. Oh no, what am I going to do, right? The reason we did that is because we're trying to stop impact to other organizations or other people at Young Living. And that's honestly, when it gets to that point, it's usually because either we haven't had communication with you or there's such a big potential fallout that we have to act really quick.
Yeah.
And then the thing is too, you always have a choice too when we're reaching out. Like you can choose. But I always talk to people and they said, well, why did you start Young Living? Let's go back to your reason why, right? Because it's the most important thing is remember, it's not always going to be easy. And just like the economy, there's ups and downs. Gas prices increases, they go up, they go down, right? We all know summer's coming. We know they're all going to go up for summer travel, right? But part of that is, just like with Young Living, is there are going to be costs that go up and down. Your business is going to ebb and flow. And that's where it's like, go back to your why. Like, why did you start Young Living? Let's get back to that passion behind it. And let's really focus here. Because if you're also splitting your energies between multiple ways, are you really going to be successful ever at one?
And you can't focus on what your primary focus
Correct.
was, what your primary passion was as well. So you just talked about products, and definitely in the last few years, that has been really rough for a lot of our brand partners. Obviously, with the FDA and how society has changed and rules and whatnot, it's been very hard to openly talk about products, especially like with personal experiences, right? And so, Casey, I'd love for you to elaborate kind of on that side of products. Another common mistake and misconception when it comes to products specifically.
So this is my favorite thing to talk about, and so many people get so confused so easily, is when it comes to talking about our products, remember that you have a body that's operating healthy, and we call it the wellness line, right? And your body is operating perfect. You don't have any bruises, no colds, fevers, scratches, anything, right? You have this perfect body. Anything that brings you below that wellness line, we consider is, like the FDA even considers it, an illness or a disease or an ailment of the body, right? So the way the FDA sees it is anything that brings you back up to that line is what they would consider a drug, or you have to have a drug to do that.
Yeah.
So when you want to talk about the product, think about your healthy body and say, how do I want to support that healthy body, right? So during the cold and flu season, people love the cold and flu claims. I'm like, well, instead, what is the real goal behind this, right? It's to support a healthy immune system.
Yeah.
So build your whole entire brand and your whole entire communications and every post around supporting the healthy immune system. People will understand because that's that wellness that we were talking about earlier, and it's keeping that body. And when you function that way and you're thinking about supporting a healthy lifestyle, you're rarely going to err in the disease or the drug area. You're going to usually stay pretty safe.
Yeah. Almost kind of like, and I know this may not be like the best word or greatest word, but a generalization, right?
Yep.
So not necessarily extremely detailed. Unfortunately, we can't be extremely detailed, but I think we're kind of getting there. With the new Ningxia Red clinical trials that we had, we are able to be very detailed in what
Right.
Ningxia Red does specifically. And we are starting to push for more and more of those clinical trials, but those take time, take a lot of money, and
Yep.
they take a lot of manpower as well. So in time, all of that will come. but patience is key, of
And
course.
it's not just being patient. It's remember there is a story to tell, and you don't need to tell your whole story on
Yeah.
social media. You need to talk about the basics because your job as a salesperson is to talk to them through their DMs, right? To get on the phone call with them.
Yeah.
That's how you sell the product. That's how you get the general connection. Is you want to get a hook that gets people excited about your everyday usages, right?
Yeah.
Show your product in your gym bag when you go to the gym. People are going to say, well, why do you have these products with you all the time, right? It's little things like that that are going to bring people to your brand, and they're going to message you, and you reach out, and that's that sales part of the
Yeah.
business.
I think another thing that people also misunderstand or don't realize is that everybody is built different, right?
100%.
And so your experience may not be the exact same as somebody else's
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to a certain product. And so you can say, like, for me, this is what helped, but it may be different for you. There may be a product that suits you better. It really all just kind of depends, right?
Right.
For some people, they find this one product that works really well for them, and it might not work for other people.
Well, and that's why, like, I've had several conversations with brand partners, and they say, well, it worked for me, or it's worked for this group of people, or worked for my cousins, my brother, my sister, whatever.
Well, just
And it's
because
like,
I
why-
won the jackpot doesn't mean you'll win the jackpot.
Exactly, right? And it's like I try to explain to them that just because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. And so that's why the FDA doesn't accept what we would call anecdotal evidence, right? And unfortunately, there are limitations on First Amendment freedom of speech. You just can't, for example, the example I always use with people is you can't walk into a full theater and yell fire just because you think it's going to be funny, right? Now, if there is a fire, you can certainly warn people. But anyway, so you're basically, there are restrictions on commercial speech, and this is one of those areas, right, where you just can't tell people anything that you think is true just because you think it's true.
And the commercial speech comes back to the contract and the policies and procedures that you agreed to. And
Yeah.
that's your contract that you're going to promote the products as we've labeled them and registered them and with the substantiation we have behind them.
Yeah. And, one other thing that I really want to share is I really don't want people to think that the products don't work, because
No,
they
they
do. They really
Right.
do. But everybody, like, our whole bodies are built completely different. We receive stuff, we expel stuff completely different than everybody
Right.
else. And so a lot of people always ask, like, well, where do I start, right? That's always, like, the biggest question that I get. It's like, okay, so what would be good for me? And I always say, well, I don't know what would be good for you, but where you should start is where you'd like to start in your home.
Yep.
We are all about a healthier lifestyle, a healthier alternative, ditch and switch, right?
Yep.
To start somewhere so that later on you don't have to suffer the consequences of eating junk food or enjoying all, whatever, right? And so I always say, well, where in your house would you like to start? Do you want to start with, like, laundry? Do you want to start with, like, cleaning dishes? Do you want to start with, like, maybe not having, like, 200 milligrams of caffeine in an energy drink that has, like, Red 40 and all that stuff?
Yep.
Like, it's
Simple
the
things.
simple questions like that. And it's like,
Right.
okay, well, start with this, right? Because this kind of fits what you're wanting to look for, and see if you like it. And if you like it, keep trying it and try other stuff, right? It's kind of just one of those things where you have to just see what works for you, what you enjoy, right? Everybody's different.
Right.
You'll find your stuff that you love, the stuff that you hate. I still don't like the smell of Rutaval. I think it's one of the worst smelling oils that we
And
have.
that's the thing, though, is you as the brand partner guide them, right?
Yeah.
You're there to guide these new customers or potential new brand partners and help them on their journey, right?
Yeah.
Guide them to educational resources that are out there. There are so many resources out there about essential oils, about supplements, about just all natural products, about chemicals, all the things, right? Guide them to go find those resources. Teach them to educate themselves, because the more educated they become, the better choices they're going to make for their personal life and their family.
Yeah.
And Gary was such a pioneer, obviously, in this space. And what's interesting to me is that the more I read and the more research I do find, like through websites like PubMed, right? It's like we have just kind of scratched the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
With respect to essential oils and the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
And I think as we start to uncover more research and we learn more, it's going to be fascinating.
There's so much to it. There's so much to unravel, so much to uncover.
Right.
So there's two more things that I'd love to chat about. One is another common thing that's kind of picked up recently, and that is ads specifically. And you just grinned ear to ear.
Yes.
So
It's been a big one over the last few months, and we saw a big spike. And basically, we have a policy that prohibits you from using Young Living trademarks in any paid advertisement. And people are like, well, why? Why? You know, I can get enrollments, right? Well, that's the thing is you can get enrollments where other people should be able to get enrollments. Maybe somebody's trying to re-enroll and they click your ad and they sign up with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's taking from somebody else who's done hard work and people that are out there trying to build the business organically. And so it's to keep an even playing field and to protect all these people out there that are trying to do it right.
the best way that I can kind of explain this ad situation is imagine there's two separate ponds and they're divided by a dam, right? A dam wall or a bridge or something like that. Everybody's fishing in their own pond. Well, when you have those advertisements, your fishing line ends up becoming like 100 feet longer where you can throw it over the bridge and start fishing in the other people's pond, right? And it's kind of being a fishing thing. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what it's called.
Well, you're basically in many cases just kind of acting like you're Young Living, and you're misdirecting the traffic online to your site, right?
And that's what it appears like. And that's, unfortunately, that takes away from not only Young Living, but it takes away from all these other people that are out there hustling just as hard as anyone else because you paid to be placed there.
And when you are also a representative of the corporation, people always assume that somehow, some way, you are a big representative for that company, whether it's corporate or something like that. And so you as a whole represent the brand. So whatever you put out there is what people automatically will assume of Young Living, right? So please just do your best as a representative of this beautiful legacy, this beautiful company, that don't only think of like, well, how does this affect me? You need to think of the large picture, right?
And that's that community we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for, is community. We're here to lift each other up and not tear each other down.
Yes.
Right.
The one last thing that I'd love to cover, because I think this is the most misunderstood, misconstrued, twisted thing that I hear all the time, is favoritism.
Oh, well, I can guarantee you 100% that does not occur. Is I've enforced on top leaders, I've enforced on distributors, and guess what? If you've done harm to organizations, we are going to correct that, and we're going to do right by those people. And sometimes, based on how impactful it is, it can take us a couple months to clean something up and realign, reorganize those people. But we're going to do it right. We are going to make things right, and it's going to come with movement of people back to where they could have been placed from the beginning. If it was a Google ad, there could be penalties, fines. You could be put on probation, where you could be removed from chat groups, or you could be held accountable where you have to do trainings to educate, right? We don't view one member bigger than the other or lesser than the other, but I will tell you, I do rely on our leaders, the silvers, platinums, golds, diamonds, to help educate their organization, because we're a small team. And like you said, how many people have read the policy, right? And once you get into being a leader, you need to make sure that you're monitoring your field and you're monitoring your organization so that harm doesn't impact you as a leader as well.
Fantastic. Well said. And yeah, there are a lot of people like, well, why hasn't, conduct picked up on this or conduct picked up on that? And I'm like, I don't think you understand that they are a team of how big?
We're 19 people.
19 people trying to cover, 2 million people just in the U.S. alone. And so that is a lot of ground to cover, a lot of checkups to do. So if you do see something, obviously, you hear this all the time in the airports, if you see something, say something, right? Sure. Because we can't cover everything. We can't see everything. It would be impossible to do. We would have to have a team of thousands of people just to be anywhere close to being able to make sure that everybody is following the rules, right?
And that's the community we talked about. Work with your downline. Honestly, if you're sending it to conduct that you're seeing something in your organization, reach out to your leaders and talk to them. It is a community. And don't go on the attack with them. Just say, hey, did you know this policy is in place, right? Do you understand it? Let me help you. It's that simple.
Communication.
Exactly, right.
That's all it is. It doesn't, the less that you can do to escalate a situation, right?
The better off it is for the field.
Sure, we always talk about resolving things at the lowest level possible, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you're a leader and you've got a sales team and you notice something, then work with that person to correct it. Don't necessarily wait for someone to contact us and say, hey.
Don't ignore it, because the longer it waits, by the time conduct gets to it, the bigger the impact could be on the on the resolution.
Unfortunately, it's a snowball effect. Right?
Yeah.
And we want to make sure the snowball stays as small as possible.
Correct.
Yes. I was going to say, yesterday we actually on the Diamond call Prasad actually had them play a video from your dad years ago, and it was really quite impressive, to be honest, because he was totally focused on the why, right? The passion behind the business. And he said, look, we can talk about numbers all you want. We can talk about companies' sales growth, et cetera, but in the end, at the end of the day, it's really about what kind of a legacy we leave.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's why the best kind of brand partners, in my opinion, are the people that are not necessarily so business driven, but they're purpose driven.
Yeah.
Right? They want to be with Young Living for a reason, and they found their why, like Casey mentioned.
Yeah.
And they're living that.
I love it.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, even with my own profession here, like, conduct, we've been through it we've had FDA letters, we've had COVID, right? When everybody had COVID hit. You think about during those COVID times there was a lot of FDA and FTC letters that went out. But this speaks highly to our brand partners is we did not receive one. And that's because of the fact we had such an amazing, stellar community that rallied behind and made sure that we weren't making those claims or those things that would bring risk to Young Living into their organizations. But we still were successful during that time. We still grew, and our community even got stronger. But that's because the brand partners in the community we've built through Young Living.
Yeah.
And it speaks highly to these people that are such incredible members and the legacy that your dad has built, because it's always been about a why. It hasn't been about the dollar. It hasn't been about anything but the why behind it. And it's what I wake up every day and I'm like, what is my why today? Why am I coming in? Why am I fighting these fights? Because conduct's not an easy job.
No.
I'm going to tell you. It is.
I could not do what you do. I did the call center for 6 months, and I thought that was kind of bad. So
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, people, it is a really hard job because we're always reaching out to try to help people. And we look for the negative, right? We're looking for the wrong, and we're looking for the errors so that we can help correct them.
Yeah.
And there's days it can be really hard, especially with all the attacks that's been lately, is we're the ones out there focused on trying to help to keep your organization safe from all these attacks.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, this team's stellar. They love what they do. They love every member. And every morning that we have a hard conversation, we go back to our whys. We're like, let's talk about the why. Let's go back to our whys and let's see how we can celebrate the members that we've been helpful with and successful in lifting up and guiding.
Fantastic.
And that's one thing, like, I would tell the brand partners, because I have heard in the past comments about how we're afraid to do anything, we're afraid to say anything, that sort of thing. And what I would do is I just encourage people to go build your business. Build it how you see fit. Do the things you think you need to do to make it grow, but at the same time understand that if you're not learning, you're not growing.
Yeah.
And so expect to make mistakes. Expect to step outside of the boundaries occasionally, right?
Yeah.
But don't worry when you get a call from us, because all we're trying to do is say, hey, just wanted to give you a friendly reminder that there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And we want to help you learn so you can do it the right way going forward.
Yeah.
So we're not here to stifle your business. We're not here to make it more difficult for you to grow a business. We're here to help you understand how to do it right.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you both so much for your time. Really appreciate everything that you had to share today. And I think this is always something that's really good to just come back and touch base on, right?
Right.
Because it is a lot to remember. It can be overwhelming, right? And it's easy to kind of forget some things.
Correct.
And so please, 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 if you have to, always have this pinned or saved or whatever. Share it with your teams. Come back to it. Share it as many times as you need to. Listen to it as many times as you need to. We are here to help you with whatever you want, right? Your success is our success, right? We're all in this together. We're one big community. We love all of you, right? And we want everyone to be safe. We want everyone to have fun. We want everyone to just share their passion and their love for everything that is Young Living. Correct. And so we, once again, just appreciate you both for everything that you do. I know for a fact it's not easy. You know, Casey and I, we've sat through a few meetings, you know.
Right.
I have only experienced a glimpse of what you guys experience, a fraction of what you all experience on a day-to-day basis. And it truly is not something that I could do every single day. So thank you for that. And just
thank you. And that's all I could just say to end on is, when in doubt, reach out. Conduct at Young Living, we are here for you. And just always reach out. Like, it don't matter what your question is, what your concern is, reach out, and we have no problem jumping on a phone call. Like, when we try to call, please return our phone calls. Like, talk to us. Talk to us, because we are nice people. We are not here to yell or belittle you. We just want to lift you up.
Have you seen Casey? Like, y'all will see a picture of him, but they're both beautiful. You know, Kevin and Casey, you both are beautiful people. Like, you're not
kind.
scary.
Thank you.
You aren't intimidating, right? You're not wolves or anything. You're like
No.
fluffy sheep, right? You guys are great.
Fluffy sheep.
Yeah, fluffy sheep.
I like
With a little bit
being-
of teeth, right?
Right.
With some teeth here and there.
I like that. I like to be a fluffy sheep.
So one thing that you did mention is obviously a way to get in communication with Conduct, and that is conduct@youngliving.com, which is the official email for Conduct at
100%. And if you need support, reach out to your upline because they all have additional avenues too that they can support you with. Like, don't just rely on Conduct, rely on your community.
Yeah. Hope to have you back on here because I think, like I said, it's always great to touch base. Policies and procedures change all the time, not just for Young Living, but with everything that you do. I mean, your phone, like
Right.
your user agreement, right? That changes almost on the daily and whatnot.
And how
So
many people have actually read it?
Yeah.
I certainly don't. I am guilty of that. But yeah, it's super important to have this in place to protect the community.
Correct.
I feel like that is like driving
That is what it is.
the hammer on the nail. It's like it's
Right.
protecting the community. It's protecting what we have. It's
Everything.
protecting all of you. So once
Thank
again,
you.
don't be afraid to reach out if you need to. We are lovely people. Y'all are lovely people. They are fun to chat with. And well, until next time, I guess.
All
Thank
right.
you, David.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for tuning into this episode of The Wild Drop. Remember, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, on YouTube, and of course our website at www.youngliving.com. Don't forget to oil up the Young Living family. This is Jacob Young, dropping out. Take care.